Greetings, I'm Solidus Scully, and Happy Australia Day 2021. Yeah. Anyway, bit of a different change of pace for this time around, and yes, this does tie in with Australia Day, because this game was developed by an Australian, and yeah, for those of you who have either had a sudden burst of nostalgia for Newgrounds era Flash games, which are sadly no longer with us, rest in peace, yes, this is Ray, Part 1, and there was a Part 2, but we gotta share the love. Yay, everyone's happy when we share the whiskey around. Anyway, Ray Part 1, released in 2003 and developed by Phil Collins. Yeah, this was actually one of my earliest internet memories, actually, because, again, I think I brought it up in the GTA 3 and a bunch of other reviews that I've done, but yeah, these were the sort of games I used to play when I was a youth, when a lot of these adult references flew right over my head. Well, kind of. I think I might have been partially responsible for me preferring stuff that is, edgy and cool, as you're about to see here, with these two people, about to assault Ray, and calling him, homosexual slur that I can't say anymore. But yeah, as you can see, this one is, very gritty on the criminal enterprises, on the tough street kind of thing. Again, it's very clear that this game was quite influenced by media that was coming out at the time, whether, you know, movies, video games, or what have you. And you can tell this was made in 2003 because we can see the old logo Pepsi stuff and the fact that it's using the South Park art style to create a visual distinction. Like, I mean, I do think the South Park art style for this game works to its benefit more than its hindrance, because, I mean, given South Park's very limited animation and, you know, the fact that Flash games, at least in this period, were a little bit, varied in quality. Yeah, I'd say it definitely works better to this game's strength, because it does look pretty solid, like even, oh, Jesus, nearly 20 to 18 years on, man, so, yeah, but anyway, getting onto the gameplay side of things, well, I suppose we could call this gameplay. It's pretty much like a sort of point-and-click kind of thing. Like, I mean, you make choices, you have, like, a set of options you can choose, and each will have a slightly different outcome and animation play. It's simple, again, not the most brain-taxing game of all time, but, again, it has a solid aesthetic, it has a solid theme, and sort of defined what it wants to do, and, yeah, I'd say the game is worth playing, just to see the many choices you can have. Like, I mean, you don't just have to kill this, perverted dude who stalked your girlfriend with a knife. No, you can instead just kill him with a bunch of stuff, like a shotgun or whatever takes your fancy. I prefer the stabbing method, because it's, quite tasty. And, yeah, given the fact that this came out in the early 2000s, you might be seeing a lot of the crude humor and, stuff that might be a little bit, problematic in today's day and age, kind of conflating with, I guess how a lot of modern people would see it. I mean, again, stereotypical Chinese accent man who owns the apartment, kind of rubbing people the wrong way. I mean, personally, I don't really mind it, because I kind of don't give a fuck. I mean, again, this is a game I grew up with, but at the same time, though, yeah. Some people might not be as forgiving as I. But anyway, I will say that, like, in terms of story, because again, as you could probably hear beneath my waffling, the game does have voice acting, it does have, you know, more story to it than most Flash games would have at this time. And the story in this one is actually, well, more like the day in the life of a criminal dude just getting up to a bunch of antics and, well, just doing jobs for random people, like Pete here. He's hiring us to, I don't know, rescue this kidnapped girl. So see, Ray is truly the heroic mercenary for justice. But yeah, it's, yeah, rather simple, but again, like, I think it's a sort of game that just sort of takes its concept and runs with it, really. And, again, like, I mean, while it is very aged in terms of some of its presentation aspects, mainly down to the voice acting and, some choice words of language, but then again, you know, criminals and, wouldn't exactly be obeying the, problematic structure that we have today. But again, like, I mean, a lot of the choices you can pick, again, some give you alternate scenes, others of which will end up cursing you out because of the fact that, well, again, this was made by one guy, and he had a bit of a snarky sense of humor, which I kind of find amusing. You'll see some examples of that a little bit later on, but, yeah, you can either choose to give in and not get any information and do it again, or you can just choose to take a piss on him, because, fuck it, why not? He is scum, and he deserves to be treated as such. But again, I will say that comparing this to the other three Ray games, this is probably the one with the most choice. in terms of options you can choose. And again, you might be seeing those numbers flash up every now and again. That's to do with your score at the end of the game, which you're meant to tally up, although personally I kind of lose track because I'm mainly a little bit more invested in the game. And also, I don't know if it was something to do with the coding of this website, but you could probably see Ray, like, clipping out of the frame of the border right there, so, I think it might be a fault with the website. I don't remember this happening on, the original Newgrounds site, and that's something right there. Like, again, he'll cuss you out for completely fucking up a choice and picking the stupid options, which is fun, because you get a nice bit of flavor text. But at the same time, you do also have specific choices to make where you basically have to choose one option and go with it. Not as bad as you might think, because, I mean, this game is really simple and something you'll be done with in about 13 minutes, or a little bit longer than that if you want to see some of the alternate death scenes, so, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess it's really weird to describe to people of the modern day, because, again, this sort of stuff was, well, I mean, it blew my young mind as a kid, but, I mean, this was, again, like, I mean, when I wasn't renting games out from, stuff like Video Easy or whatever, this is pretty much where I spent my time. Like, I mean, I remember around, like, I think it must have been, like, 2003, 2004, back around the time when the internet was a little bit more steadily available, besides, like, dial-up and shit. These were the sort of games that I spent a lot of time playing. And, again, that's part of why I wanted to cover this for Australia Day. It's very nostalgic to me, and I guess, as an ode to the Flash games that were, sadly lost because Adobe Flash was discontinued, like, very late last year on, like, I think it was, like, the 31st. Yeah. Figured it was worth it to just, showcase some of the ones that I love. Again, in terms of how the scoring works in this game, it works on the basis of how brutal you are and, I guess, how efficient you are at doing the job. Like, I mean, being nice to people will get you scores of, like, 4-3 and all that kind of stuff, but again, being ruthless and only out for yourself, you get scores like 2 and 1, which is, helps you earn the highest score. It's basically kind of like golf, except violent, and, whatever. Let's just hope he walks by. And of course he doesn't fall for it, because he ain't a dumbass, unlike you, because you are a dumbass. Me? No, but anyway, as I was saying, with that score you tally it up at the end of the game, and you will receive a ranking, which I might show off once I edit it in. Some of them are quite humorous, if a bit juvenile, and some might find slightly offensive, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, you do. I think this part of the game is probably the most linear because again, you only have one or two choices to really make: the right one or the wrong one. And again, you're not meant to shoot this guy because, well, now you don't know where they're holding Michelle, and that's no bueno. Also, I think my screen recording capture might have failed me here because his mouth doesn't even move. Either that or he didn't bother to put in any animation because it kind of changes right there because he animates fine? Whatever, I'm pretty sure Phil Collins or whatever wasn't really paying attention back in 2003 for those mild elements. But I mean, even still, I will say that, like, as I mentioned earlier, like, the South Park style, I think, does give this game a lot of lively animation, given the fact that South Park in and of itself is animated very stilted in a construction paper kind of way. Well, I mean, at least it used to. I haven't watched South Park in years at this point, so again, I can't say for sure whether or not the animation's gotten better in the age of computers and CG and all that kind of stuff, but whatever. But I mean, this is a majority of the main game, really. Like, I mean, it's just Ray rescuing Michelle, taking her back, and just fulfilling jobs for Pete, and that's going to become a bit of a running theme as we go on in the series. Well, I say the series, but I mean only really for 2, and I guess possibly 3, but that's a bit of a point of contention in and of itself that we'll get to in the next 2 years. Again, I don't know if this is borrowing music, I'm gonna assume so, because bear in mind this did come out during a time when, you know, you were allowed to use, like, licensed music without fear of copyright strikes, but, yeah, the Wild West days of the internet certainly were a time, and, sadly I don't think we'll ever be seen again. Oh, we better slow down, he might get hurt. I don't know. I always like choosing some of the passive options just to see some absolutely silly shit. Ray 2 actually does have some funny moments with that. But yeah, it's not like much really changes. And again, you can see, by being nice, you get the score of number 4. And I suppose that injury wasn't really too damaging for Ray, because he still has the strength to rescue himself and Michelle and just use weapons rather steadily. Again, like, I mean, I will say that in terms of anything else, like, Ray 1 is probably the most patchiest in terms of its sound design, because, again, it might have been my screen recording software, perhaps, but I mean, like, you know, you heard the delay when the car crash effects as it started to tumble over with little to no damage. I don't know. And I suppose here is also, like, one of the few gameplay-ish segments where you can shoot them down by picking one of the two to blast away on. Not that it really matters, mind you, but hey. Yes, we took out the pilot and killed a gunner, because that's the thing you should always choose when taking on helicopters with little more than a pistol or whatever else. I will say that there is a certain charm to Flash games like this, which again is part of the reason why I recorded all three games in a succinct fashion. Well, I mean, except for Raid 1 actually, because I actually recorded this when I was completely drunk, because I remember having a fair few brewskis and then waking up the next morning with this on my hard drive, which was quite strange. But again, when I heard that Adobe Flash was slowly coming to an end, I decided to record the other two Ray games, and well, I suppose I'll be doing them for the next 2 years for Australia Day, because I mean, they're short, they're pretty snazzy, and again, I have a lot of memories with these games. Like, I mean, short as they are, I just have a lot of fondness for people just bashing people's heads in with a motorcycle helmet. And again, like, I mean, I will say that the story for the first one is rather simple. The second game does have slightly more complex plotting, and from what Ray 3 was promising, it did actually show signs of having a more developed and cohesive universe, but, well, again, we'll get to Ray 3 when we get to it. Because, I mean, this is pretty much the ending of Ray 1. We rescue Michelle. We'll, you know, make sure she's safe and sound and collect our money from Pete tomorrow. So, yeah, all that and more to come in Ray 2. And yes, it's quite clear, I think it might have been more of a thing in the 2000s, actually, where there was, like, a resurgence of 80s music. Because, I mean, I remember plenty of times hearing Guns N' Roses on the radio and, you know, Sweet Child of Mine. Again, I really do miss this era where you could just, like, have licensed tracks and not really be afraid to, you know, get copyright struck or anything. And this is the ranking system. Tally up your points and pick one of these several options. Again, like, I believe the 8 to 12 one gives you the rank of, like, serial killer, I believe, which is the best rank, and again, tells you you're a ruthless bastard and you kick ass and take names. Again, I'm pretty sure I'll probably post these up as I start discussing them. The rank that I got was a pretty cool guy, because I certainly am a pretty cool guy. And this is my favorite one, personally, because it's like, yeah, I'm a pretty cool dude, and I've got some, Jim Beam, which is excellent. Again, just gotta be a little bit more ruthless to get the best rank. There's another rank beneath it, which I call, and again, I apologize for any sensitive viewers, but there's a rank called Faggot, which is basically, you know, just, it shows Ray taking it up the arse, and it basically means just be more aggressive. And then there is the lowest rank, which is the rank of fucking fairy, which is pretty much the same thing, I think, in the insult category. But again, you get some pretty humorous, if very crude, descriptions about exactly what sort of player you are, and, yeah. But, I mean, anyway, that was the Ray commentary. A bit rambly, but, again, I grew up playing this game many times during my childhood, and replaying this again, it was pretty fun. Like, I mean, I would say play the game for yourselves, but again, since Adobe Flash is gone at this point, and the fact that you probably won't be able to experience this game, unless, of course, it happened to be one of the games that was saved from the refuse pile, then maybe you could play it that way if you're able to find a link for it. But regardless of such, this is a bit of history I want to preserve, and, well, I guess just something I wanted to appreciate from another Australian developer. So, on that note, I am Solid Scully, keep it new metal, happy Australia Day, dudes and dudettes, get drunk, and, well, have a good day. I'll see you dudes and dudettes next time for more commentaries. Bye-bye.